Welcome to A Recipe Reborn, featuring your favorite foods from Final Fantasy XIV. Hello, my name is Lemon Drop and I develop recipes by combining real-life culinary inspiration with the in-game recipe, description, thumbnail, geography, and lore. If you're into 14 and food, please subscribe and click the bell for a new episode every week. This may be more familiar to you by another name. In French it is known as galette des rois, which translates literally as king's cake or king cake. It's associated with the Christian feast called Epiphany, which usually occurs on January 6th and marks the beginning of carnival season that ends with Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, and precedes the fasting season of Lent. The in-game description says this galette-style pie is decorated with a golden crown and served at Ishgardian festivals, which sounds pretty similar to its real-life equivalent. It features mirror apples, which are native to Kurthis, maple sugar, cinnamon, almonds, and a tiny crown. I remember trying and failing many times at crafting a high-quality version of this to complete my level 50 culinarian quest. My friend and former FC leader Natsu helped me, so shout out to him. This recipe is really similar to the pixie apple pie, but the main difference is the almonds. The traditional filling for galette des rois is an almond-based pastry cream, but there are many variations. I don't normally like almond-based desserts like marzipan, so we'll see how this turns out. I'm starting with peeling, coring, and slicing my apples, then soaking them in lemon water before cooking them in a little bit of butter. I don't want them to be falling apart, but I do want to give them a little head start. You can see they're tender but still holding together. Next, I'm working on the almond pastry cream, and I'm so excited to be using maple sugar. I've had it in my pantry for a while and I've been waiting for this moment. It's not always easy or even possible to get very close to the in-game recipe, but when I do, it's really fun to imagine that what I'm making is what it's meant to taste like. And of course, in my excitement, I forgot to record adding the cinnamon, but it's in there, I promise. About the almonds, it comes in many forms such as flour, powdered, or ground, with skins and without. Any of these will work, just keep in mind more finely ground almonds will be denser, so I recommend going with the weight measurement. I put the almond cream in the fridge while I work on the puff pastry. Yes, you could make your own puff pastry if you prefer. Personally, I find that it's not worth the trouble. Frozen puff pastry is more affordable than buying the butter I would need to make it, plus it turns a 2-day recipe into something I can make in one afternoon. Perhaps in the future, after I take the baking and pastry arts class, I may see some advantage to making it myself. So far, I've cut 2 pastry sheets into circles and flipped one onto my pan as the bottom crust. This style of pie is really convenient for those of you who may not have a pie dish, since you can make it on a rimmed baking sheet, or in my case, a pizza pan. Here I'm putting the almond cream and the apples on the bottom crust. Depending on how you celebrate, you may put a bean or a porcelain charm, perhaps shaped like a baby, in the filling for someone to find in their piece of cake, so if you wanted to do that, this is the time. A little bit of water sticks the bottom crust to the top crust. And then I'm gently pressing the 2 layers together to seal while being careful not to squish the tiny layers of butter and dough. I'm using the back of a table knife to scallop the edge of the crust and then very carefully drawing a leaf pattern into the top crust. I'm not much of a visual artist, so I'm sorry for my bad geometry, but it will look nice after it bakes, I promise. This egg wash is just 1 yolk plus a little bit of water, and I'm being careful not to let it drip over the side of the crust. Egg wash would seal the edge, and that would keep the layers from puffing up, and I don't want that. Lastly, before baking, I'm cutting a few vents into the top crust. Just like any other pie, vents keep them from exploding, and in the case of puff pastry, it will keep it from cracking and splitting. This goes into the oven to bake for about an hour. Some recipes call for a syrup to go over the top crust after baking, and I considered brushing on some maple syrup, but I like this just fine without it, but you can brush some on if you like. I'm very happy with how this turned out. The pastry puffed up a lot, it's not cracked or split, and it's a beautiful, shiny, golden brown. Basically, everything went according to plan, which I'm really grateful for because I started making this really late at night, and if it didn't go well, I would be in trouble. As usual, I'm surprised that I like this. The almond cream is perfectly set, not runny, and the apples are tender but still have a bit of texture that feels nice to bite into, and of course the flaky layers are so crispy, buttery, and delicious. So if you found the bean in your cake, lucky you! You are the monarch for a day. Next year you get to make the cake, and now you know how. For the full recipe and instructions, please check out the link to my website in the description below and in the card at the top of the screen. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week for another recipe and another episode. Until then, please enjoy this video of the very rare, shiny Koopalman that I encountered in the wild of my local dog park.